then it's like, something is not right with this picture. It's this, and we'll just take that over there, and then, I don't know what that does. And then why is, something is not right in Camelot up there. I think we should go investigate. Kill myself doing this one of these days. So what's different from previous Cayenne episodes, and the last time you and I drove one was in Skellefteå, Sweden, about 2 years ago, is that this one is fitted with an electric motor somewhere back there. And that one is good for 70 kilowatts, 95 horsepower, and 229 pound-feet of torque, which comes from 0 RPM. Then there's the internal combustion engine. Now this is an engine you and I have driven in other Porsche and Audi episodes. It is a 3-liter V6 supercharged, 333 horsepower, and 325 pound-feet of torque, which comes in at kind of a middle-of-the-road engine speed of 3,000 RPM, stays flat all the way to 5,250. Now what happens when you combine the two? When you put the two together, total system horsepower is actually very good, 416 horsepower, but more interesting to us, 435 pound-feet of torque, and that comes in at a very low 1,250 RPM, stays flat all the way to 4,000 RPM. There's a couple of interesting features about the engine. It's an aluminum block as well as aluminum heads, and also direct fuel injection. Now this one is connected to an 8-speed automatic, not a PDK, a Tiptronic, so probably something to do with the torque and the way the electric motor works, if I'm really reading the tea leaves correctly. Now, how does this all work in terms of real-world numbers? Range, not great. 14 miles of range. But like with the BMW, that's not what this is about. It's about the total range to mimic a diesel. So in that case, the electric and the gas combined is 480 miles of total driving range. Now here we need to revert back to Porsche name, rank, and serial number, specifically this being a Cayenne. Anything you want as long as it's all-wheel drive. There is no way to switch it to two-wheel drive. However, when it's not under load or when the system detects that it's not in inclement weather, it is primarily a rear-wheel drive vehicle, which is to say a good thing. That also means double wishbones in the front, multi-link in the rear, steel springs all the way around. This one is fitted with both PSM as well as PASM. It's also fitted with these very cool RS Spyder 20-inch wheels. Now this we're going to talk about in the full first drive review. These specific design wheels and this stunning shade of like reddish brown, they call it mahogany, has something to do with each other, and we will cover that in the full first drive review. But my God, you need to see this color in person because it really kind of knocks you on your ass. Anyway, back to driving dynamics. Then, well, can't help but notice those brake calipers, can you? I would call them lime green, Porsche calls them acid green, and that color is repeated in the badging as well as the needles and the door sills on this specific one, which we'll cover in the full first drive review. But these, you and I would call them regenerative braking. It's got 6 piston calipers in the front, 4 piston calipers in the rear, but Porsche engineers, they refer to it as recuperation braking. Either way, it is very different than any other hybrid we have driven, and so we'll spend some time talking about in the full first drive review. Then there's that dirty 4-letter, not word, that number. It weighs just over 5,400 pounds. If I'm being pedantic, 5,427 pounds. That doesn't exactly conjure up images of a green car. Anyway, let's put it aside and let's press on to the interior. Inside, there's a bit of old, there's a bit of new, some of it fitted standard, and this being a Porsche, of course, some of it fitted as optional. Let's start with the steering wheel. The design originally from the 918, then we started to see it cascade through the line in the 991.2 we drove last year, and then in the 982s, which we just recently drove. And then you look at a design detail which they kept, and that are these vents. So if you look at the overall dash, you've got this horizontal dash, but then they've got these 4 vertical detail points that also provide a splash of color. and there's really no other way to put it, some pageantry. You see this kind of design detail in like a high-end American car or a British car, but never German cars really like to see this. And then Apple CarPlay. It is now fitted optionally. It's part of a technology package. And then speaking of technology, that screen that Porsches are famous for, where it goes from like the navigation to the trip computer, that kind of stuff, radio. Well, here there's another screen, actually two screens, one for total range, and then another in terms of where the power is going from the engine to the battery, battery to the drive wheels back to the battery. Nice little touch there. And then there's the color again, and this is related to the color on the exterior. We'll talk about this whole package in the full first drive review. On its own, it would be great, but it would need like a lighter color on the exterior to really pop. Here, there's just no contrast. But one detail, actually two details, the seats have like an Alcantara inset, and then the headrests have a Porsche crest on them. And believe it or not, fitted as standard with this specific one. I believe that is everything on the interior. Now we still have one more piece of business at hand, and that is what to do with this. Apparently you plug this into a wall with this whole contraption. It goes to here. This obviously being a German car, very detail oriented. There's even like a plug for the prong thing here. Anyway, that when you plug it into a 110 volt outlet like I've been doing at home, it's 11 hours to charge. What I've been getting is actually 12 miles of range. But if you were to plug it into a level 2, which I have at the studio, that's 2.7 hours to get full charge. Now there is a mode that'll charge as the car is driving, which if you saw our Hyundai episodes, that car does not do the on-the-go charge. So interested to play with all of this in the full first drive review, so make sure you come back for that. In the interim, leave you with a quick question here. What do you think of this stunning color? Let me know in the comments below or via our social media, MotoManTV all one word, MotoManTV all one word, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. With that, I want to leave you with two things. Number one, make sure you download our fancy new mobile application, which has been updated for season 7. And we are live on 5 international airlines. Oh, by the way, maybe you should subscribe to us on YouTube. And then number 2, a fun fact. So you are watching this on Tuesday, February 28th, of 2017, so the last day of February of 2017. This, what you're seeing, was shot literally yesterday in the afternoon. So one of the fastest turnaround times we've ever done in terms of shoot to post to premiere. So until I see you for the full first drive review of the 2017 Porsche Cayenne S E-Hybrid Platinum, bis später.